Everyone talks about Singapore property prices, but honestly, I think something even more important is happening right now. Singapore property buyers themselves have changed. When a buyer behavior changes, the entire market changes together with it. Over the last few years, I've noticed some very interesting shifts happening on the ground. Some of these trends are completely opposite from what we saw in the previous property cycles. And if you are a buyer, seller, investor, or even an agent, understanding these shifts can massively affect how you position yourself moving forward. So in this video, let's talk about the 7 major shifts in Singapore property buying behavior in 2026 and why they matter more than most people realize. By the way, this is Leon Lynette, the real address, where we address everything and anything property in Singapore. And also, if you enjoy this kind of real Singapore property analysis, do consider subscribing. Your subscription will motivate us to create more content because honestly, a lot of what we discuss here comes directly from what we are seeing on the ground. Not just headlines, not just theory. Alright, let's get into it. Shift number 1. Smaller units are selling faster. Let's start with the biggest surprise in today's market. Smaller units are selling faster than larger ones. Now, historically, this wasn't always the case. In older market cycles, especially stronger upgrading markets, larger homes usually move first. People wanted bigger living rooms, bigger layouts, and more space overall. But today, at many new launches, 1 and 2 bedrooms are getting snapped up very quickly. Even the 3-bedroom compacts are sometimes moving faster than the larger premium stacks. And honestly, I think this reveals something very important about today's buyer's mindset. Modern buyers are becoming more and more cautious about their financial exposure. Because after interest rates went up in 2021, people are starting to think differently. Monthly installments can matter more now. Cash flow matters more now. Liquidity matters more now. Today, buyers are asking, can I comfortably hold this property long term? And not just, technically, can I afford it today? That is a huge psychological shift. Singapore buyers today are more financially aware. People think about job stability, retirement, children's education, aging parents, and future upgrading plans. So instead of maximizing loan quantum aggressively, just like before, many buyers are intentionally staying within the safer financial boundaries. And that's one major reason why lower quantum properties are in very strong demand today. Now, here's another reason why smaller units are moving quickly. It's also because supply itself has changed. Developers today cannot flood projects with too many small units anymore. URA regulations and unit mix controls have changed the landscape. So ironically, smaller units have actually become more scarce in most launches. And whenever supply is limited, while affordability demand remains strong, competition naturally increases. But here's the interesting part. Even some multi-generation families today are choosing smaller homes. This shocks many people because traditionally, larger families automatically meant larger homes. But that's not the case anymore today. Some families are prioritizing location, entry price, and long-term affordability over the sheer size alone, especially when alternative means stretching finances too aggressively. Shift number 2, bedroom count oversize. Now this leads to another major shift we are seeing across the market. Bedroom count is becoming more important than the actual full square footage. This trend is extremely obvious today. In the past, buyers are focused heavily on the size efficiency. Everything was about how many square feet is this, how big is this, how big is that. People compare per square foot aggressively. People were obsessed over spaciousness. But today's buyers, they think very differently. Many families are saying, as long as everyone has a room, we are okay. And because prices have risen significantly, developers are extremely efficient with layout planning. So buyers today are more accepting of compact functional spaces. For example, many buyers would rather buy a 4-bedroom compact instead of a huge 3-bedroom unit today. Why? Because functionality today often matters more than luxurious spaciousness. But here's another important factor here: exit strategy. Today buyers are more investment conscious. People understand that once a property becomes too expensive in absolute amount, future resale demand can be narrower. Let me explain. A 3 million mass market property automatically reduces the future buyer pool compared to a $1.8 million property. Make sense? So today buyers are asking, will this unit be still affordable to future buyers later on? That's a very sophisticated way of thinking. Singapore buyers today almost think like portfolio managers. They constantly balance affordability, appreciation potential, rental demand, and future liquidity. Shift number 3, location is no longer king. Now, here's another fascinating shift happening. Location is no longer king, in the same way as before. Now, don't get me wrong, location still matters, but buyers today are far more flexible than previous generations. In the past, Singaporeans were heavily obsessed with prime district, downtown living, near Orchard, near CBD, near MRT. But over the last 2 decades, Singapore itself has evolved. Decentralization changed the landscape. Today, many regional hubs are becoming self-sustaining ecosystems. You have malls, schools, healthcare, workspace, park, lifestyle amenities, all developing outside the traditional city centre. And because of this, buyers are increasingly willing to trade centrality for livability. That is a very huge mindset shift. Many families today would rather own a more spacious home in the OCR or RCR instead of squeezing into a tiny central unit while carrying constant financial stress. And due to remote working, this trend has accelerated even more. And because you are only traveling to office 2 to 3 times weekly, living further away suddenly becomes far more acceptable. People today are prioritizing the quality of life more holistically. Things like greenery, family comfort, bigger living space, less congestion. Shift number 4, the rise of ulu properties. And this also explains why buyers are increasingly open to the so-called ulu locations. Take Tengah Garden Residences for example. When Tengah first launched, many people were skeptical. People said, too remote lah, no amenities, still developing. But savvy buyers saw something else. They saw future transformation potential. And this is where buyers have become much more strategic today. People understand the best side actually comes just before the full transformation happens, not after. Because once MRT lines, malls, school, and infrastructure are fully completed, prices are already reflected in a large portion of that growth. So buyers today are increasingly willing to embrace the delayed gratification. They are willing to tolerate temporary inconvenience today, and in exchange for potential appreciation tomorrow. And honestly, that mindset resembles investment thinking more than traditional home buying behavior. Shift number 5, why sea views command huge premiums. Now, another area where buyer psychology becomes extremely emotional is sea view properties, especially in District 15 and 16, where there are many sea views in that district. This one is fascinating to observe, because in these areas, genuine sea-facing units can command a massive premiums, and the buyers are incredibly selective. Some buyers who even rejected a cheaper, bigger unit or even a better layout simply because it lacks the view. Now logically, some people say, isn't that irrational? Actually, not really, because sea views represent something very important in Singapore today: scarcity. And that scarcity drives long-term value perception. There are only so many true sea view plots available in Singapore, and once the view gets blocked, it's gone forever. So buyers who prioritize sea views are often thinking about long-term defensibility. They believe that these units maintain strong desirability, strong emotional appeal, and strong resale demand. During future market cycles, history has supported that belief. Shift number 6, younger and single buyers entering earlier. Now let's talk about the one biggest demographic shift happening today. Younger buyers. We are seeing more young adults enter the private property ownership much earlier than before. Some are even below 35 years old. And what's fascinating is how differently they are approaching property. Older generations often view property primarily as shelter. But the younger buyers today, they view property as a larger wealth building strategy. They compare property against stocks, ETFs, Crypto, businesses, they analyze opportunity costs, they study market cycles, they think about capital allocation. And because today, information is far more accessible through YouTube, podcasts, social media, forums, financial education is happening much earlier. Now, along with this trend, banks are also seeing growing numbers of single buyers entering the market. This reflects broader societal changes too. Singapore average household size has gradually been decreasing. Marriage patterns are changing. Lifestyle preferences are changing too. People today are also prioritizing independence much earlier. So many singles are no longer waiting for marriage before entering the property market. And financially, many understand that buying earlier may provide much longer runway for asset appreciation. Shift number 7. PRs, parents, and joint purchases fueling demand. Now, because prices have risen significantly over time, we are also seeing much stronger intergenerational support. Parents helping children with down payments is increasingly common these days. This trend will probably continue growing because many young buyers today, their biggest challenges isn't the monthly installments, it's the upfront capital. Things like down payment, buyer stamp duties, legal fees, they are all initial cash outlays. So, family wealth transfer is becoming a much more important market driver. But beyond family support, we are also seeing something else more common: joint purchases among friends. This used to be relatively rare, but today, many young adults are pooling resources together to enter the market earlier. Why? Because many people feel that waiting too long may result in a forever chasing a rising market. And again, this reflects how investment-oriented Singapore buyers have become today. People today are increasingly focused on time in the market rather than timing the market perfectly. And finally, one very important demand driver that many people still underestimate: the newly minted PRs and citizens. This group of people are extremely important because once many foreigners obtain PR status or citizenship, property ownership becomes their immediate priority. And honestly, their conviction levels are usually very strong. Why? Because many of them compare Singapore globally. They compare Singapore's stability, infrastructure, governance, safety, legal system against other major cities around the whole world. And from their perspective, Singapore real estate often feels extremely secure. And once successfully localized here, many of them want to build their long-term roots. And this creates another strong layering of structural housing demand. Final thoughts. So when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture today, Singapore property market is no longer driven by purely prestige or speculation alone. Buyer behavior has evolved significantly. People today are becoming more strategic, more financially disciplined, and more long-term focused. They care about affordability, exit strategy, liquidity, functionality, future transformation potential. Understanding these behavioral shifts may become one of the biggest competitive advantage moving forward. Because market don't just move based on supply and demand alone. Market move based on human psychology. And right now, Singapore buyer psychology is evolving very quickly. So let me know in the comments, which of these shifts have you personally noticed the most? And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.